Hadith 1. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abbas, Al-Fadl, his brother, was riding behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and a woman from the tribe of Quthum came, and Al-Fadl started looking at her and she started looking at him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, turned Al-Fadl's face to the other side. The woman said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The obligation of Hajj enjoined by Allah on his devotees has become due on my father, and he is old and weak, and he cannot sit firm on the mount. May I perform Hajj on his behalf? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, Yes, you may. That happened during the Hajj al-Wada of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 2. Narrated Ibn Umar, I saw that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to ride on his mount at Dhul Hulayfa and used to start saying, Labbaik, when the mount stood upright. Hadith 3. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, started saying, Labbaik, from Dhul Hulayfa when his mount stood upright carrying him. Hadith 4. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent my brother Abdurrahman with me to Tanim for the Umrah, and he made me ride on the pack saddle of a camel. Umar said, Be ready to travel for Hajj, as Hajj, is one of the two kind of jihad. Hadith 5. Narrated Thumama bin Abdullah bin Anas, Anas performed the Hajj on a pack saddle and he was not a miser. Anas said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed Hajj on a pack saddle and the same mount was carrying his baggage too. Hadith 6. Narrated Al-Qasim bin Muhammad, Aisha said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. You performed Umrah but I did not. He said, O Abdurrahman, go along with your sister and let her perform Umrah from Tanim. Abdurrahman made her ride over the pack saddle of a she-camel and she performed Umrah. Hadith 7. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked, which is the best deed? He said, to believe in Allah and His Apostle. He was then asked, which is the next, in goodness? He said, to participate in jihad in Allah's cause. He was then asked, which is the next? He said, to perform Hajj Mabrur. Hadith 8. Narrated Aisha, the mother of the faithful believers, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We consider jihad as the best deed. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the best jihad, for women, is Hajj Mabrur. Hadith 9. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Whoever performs Hajj for Allah's pleasure and does not have sexual relations with his wife, and does not do evil or sins, then he will return, after Hajj free from all sins, as if he were born anew. Hadith 10. Narrated Zayd bin Jubayr, I went to visit Abdullah bin Umar at his house which contained many tents made of cotton cloth and these were encircled with suratik, part of the tent. I asked him from where should one assume ihram for Umrah. He said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had fixed as miqat, singular of mawaqit, Qarn for the people of Najd, Dhul Hulayfa for the people of Medina, and Al-Jufa for the people of Sham. Hadith 11. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the people of Yemen used to come for Hajj, and used not to bring enough provisions with them and used to say that they depend on Allah. On their arrival in Medina they used to beg the people, and so Allah revealed, and take a provision, with you, for the journey, but the best provision is the fear of Allah. Surah 2, Ayah 197. Hadith 12. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, made Dhul Hulayfa as the miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Jufa for the people of Sham, Qarn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen, and these mawaqit are for the people at those very places, and besides them for those who come through those places with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. And whoever is living within these boundaries can assume ihram from the place he starts, and the people of Makkah can assume ihram from Makkah. Hadith 13. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the people of Medina should assume ihram from Dhul Hulayfa, the people of Sham from Al-Jufa, and the people of Najd from Karn. And Abdullāh added, I was informed that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had said, the people of Yemen should assume ihram from Yalamlam. Hadith 14. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Jufa for the people of Sham, and Karn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen. So, these, above mentioned, are the mawaqit for all those living at those places, and besides them for those who come through those places with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah, and whoever lives within these places should assume ihram from his dwelling place, and similarly the people of Makkah can assume ihram from Makkah. Hadith 15. Narrated Salim from his father who said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had fixed the mawaqit as follows, the miqat for the people of Medina is Dhul Hulayfa, for the people of Sham is Mahita, that is, Al-Jufa, and for the people of Najd is Karn. And said Ibn Umar, they claim, but I did not hear personally, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the miqat for the people of Yemen is Yalamlam. Hadith 16. Narrated Salim bin Abdullah from his father, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, the miqat for the people of Medina is Dhul Hulayfa, for the people of Sham is Mahita, that is, Al-Jufa, and for the people of Najd is Karn. And said Ibn Umar, they claim, but I did not hear personally, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the miqat for the people of Yemen is Yalamlam. Hadith 17. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Jufa for the people of Sham, Yalamlam for the people of Yemen, and Karn for the people of Najd. And these mawaqit are for those living at those very places, and besides them for those who come through those places with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah, and whoever is living inside these places can assume ihram from his own dwelling place, and the people of Makkah can assume ihram from Makkah. Hadith 18. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Jufa for the people of Sham, Karn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen, and these mawaqit are for those living at those very places, and besides them for those who come through them with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. And whoever is living within these mawaqit should assume ihram from where he starts, and the people of Makkah can assume ihram from Makkah. Hadith 19. Narrated Ibn Umar, when these two towns, Basra and Kufa, were captured, the people went to Umar and said, O the chief of the faithful believers! The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, fixed Karn as the miqat for the people of Najd, it is beyond our way and it is difficult for us to pass through it. He said, take as your miqat a place situated opposite to Karn on your usual way. So, he fixed Datu Irq as their miqat. Hadith 20. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, made his camel sit, that is, he dismounted, at Al-Batha in Dhul Hulayfa and offered the prayer. Abdullāh bin Umar used to do the same. Hadith 21. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to go, for Hajj, via Ash-Shajarah way and return via Muwarras way, and no doubt, whenever Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, went to Makkah, he used to offer the prayer in the mosque of Ash-Shajarah, and on his return, he used to offer the prayer at Dhul Hulayfa in the middle of the valley, and passed the night there till morning. Hadith 22. Narrated Umar, in the valley of Al-Aqiq, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Tonight a messenger came to me from my Lord and asked me to pray in this blessed valley, and to assume ihram for Hajj and Umrah together. Hadith 23. Narrated Musa bin Uqba, Salim bin Abdullah's father, said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that while resting in the bottom of the valley at Muarras in Dhul Hulayfa, he had been addressed in a dream, "You are verily in a blessed valley. Salim made us to dismount from our camels at the place where Abdullah used to dismount, aiming at the place where Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had rested, and it was below the mosque situated in the middle of the valley in between them, the residence, and the road." Hadith 24. Narrated Safwan bin Ya'la said to Umar, "Show me the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when he is being inspired divinely." While the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was at Ji'rana, in the company of some of his companions, a person came and asked, "O Allah's Messenger, what is your verdict regarding that person who assumes ihram for Umrah and is scented with perfume?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept quiet for a while and he was divinely inspired. Then Umar beckoned Ya'la. So he came, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was shaded with sheet. Ya'la put his head in and saw that the face of Allah's Messenger was red and he was snoring. When the state of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was over, he, peace and blessings be upon him, asked, "Where is the person who asked about Umrah?" Then that person was brought and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Wash the perfume off your body thrice and take off the cloak, and do the same in Umrah as you do in Hajj." Hadith 25. Narrated Sa'id bin Jubayr, Ibn Umar used to oil his hair. I told that to Ibrahim, who said, "What do you think about this statement?" Narrated Aswad from Aisha, as if I were now observing the glitter of the scent in the parting of the hair of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while he was muhrim. Hadith 26. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, I used to scent Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, when he wanted to assume ihram, and also on finishing ihram before the tawaf round the Kaaba, tawaf al-Ifada. Hadith 27. Narrated Salim from his father, I heard that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, assumed ihram with his hair matted together. Hadith 28. Narrated Salim bin Abdullāh, I heard my father saying, never did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, assume ihram except at the mosque, that is, at the mosque of Dhul Hulayfa. Hadith 29. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, a man asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, what kind of clothes should a muhrim wear? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, he should not wear a shirt, a turban, trousers, a head cloak or leather socks except if he can find no slippers, he then may wear leather socks after cutting off what might cover the ankles. And he should not wear clothes which are scented with saffron or worse, kinds of perfumes. Hadith 30. Narrated Ubaydullah bin Abdullah, Ibn Abbas said, Usama rode behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, from Arafat to Al-Muzdalifah, and then Al-Fadl rode behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, from Al-Muzdalifah to Mina. Ibn Abbas added, both of them said, the Prophet kept on reciting Talbiyah till he did the Rami of Jamrat al-Aqaba. Hadith 31. Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, with his companions, started from Medina after combing and oiling his hair and putting on 2 sheets of ihram, upper body cover and waist cover. He did not forbid anyone to wear any kind of sheets except the ones colored with saffron, because they may leave the scent on the skin. And so in the early morning, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mounted his mount while in Dhul Hulayfa and set out till they reached Bayda, where he and his companions recited Talbiyah, and then they did the ceremony of Taqlid, which means to put the colored garlands around the necks of the budn, camels for sacrifice. And all that happened on the 25th of Dhul Qa'dah. And when he reached Makkah on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah he performed the tawaf round the Kaaba and performed the tawaf between Safa and Marwa. And as he had a badana and had garlanded it, he did not finish his ihram. He proceeded towards the highest places of Makkah near al-Hajjun, and he was assuming the ihram for Hajj, and did not go near the Kaaba after he performed tawaf, round it, till he returned from Arafat. Then he ordered his companions to perform the tawaf round the Kaaba and then the tawaf of Safa and Marwa, and to cut short the hair of their heads and to finish their ihram. And that was only for those people who had not garlanded budn. Those who had their wives with them were permitted to contact them, have sexual intercourse, and similarly perfume and, ordinary, clothes were permissible for them. Hadith 32. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat in Medina, and then 2 rakat at Dhul Hulayfa, and then passed the night at Dhul Hulayfa till it was morning, and when he mounted his mount and it stood up, he started to recite Talbiyah. Hadith 33. Narrated Abu Kalaba, Anas bin Malik said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat of the Zuhr prayer in Medina and 2 rakat of Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa. I think that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed the night there till morning. Hadith 34. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat of the Zuhr prayer in Medina and 2 rakat of the Asr prayer in Dhul Hulayfa, and I heard them, the companions of the Prophet, reciting Talbiyah together loudly to the extent of shouting. Hadith 35. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, the Talbiyah of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was, what means, I respond to your call, O Allah, I respond to your call, and I am obedient to your orders, you have no partner, I respond to your call. All the praises and blessings are for you, all the sovereignty is for you, and you have no partners with you. Hadith 36. Narrated Aisha, I know how the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to say, Talbiyah, and it was, what means, I respond to your call, O Allah, I respond to your call, and I am obedient to your orders, you have no partner, I respond to your call. All the praises and blessings are for you, all the sovereignty is for you, and you have no partners with you. Hadith 37. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat of Zuhr prayer at Medina and we were in his company, and 2 rakat of the Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa, and then passed the night there till it was dawn, then he rode, and when he reached Al-Baydah, he praised and glorified Allah and said Takbir, that is, Alhamdulillah and Subhanallah and Allahu Akbar. Then he and the people along with him recited Talbiyah with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. When we reached Makkah, he ordered us to finish the ihram, after performing the Umrah, only those who had no hadi, animal for sacrifice, with them were asked to do so, till the day of Tarwiyah, that is 8th Dhul Hijjah, when they assumed ihram for Hajj. The Prophet sacrificed many camels, slaughtering them, with his own hands while standing. While Allah's Apostle was in Medina, he sacrificed 2 horned rams black and white in color in the name of Allah. Hadith 38. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, recited Talbiyah when he had mounted his mount and was ready to set out. Hadith 39. Narrated Nafi, whenever Ibn Umar finished his morning salat at Dhul Hulayfa, he would get his rahila, mount, prepared. Then, he would ride on it, and after it had stood up straight, ready to set out, he would face al-Qibla, the Kaaba at Makkah, while sitting, on his mount, and recite Talbiyah. When he had reached the boundaries of the Haram, or Makkah, he would stop recitation of Talbiyah till he reached Tuwa, near Makkah, where he would pass the night till it was dawn. After offering the morning salat, he would take a bath. He claimed that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had done the same. Hadith 40. Narrated Nafi, whenever Ibn Umar intended to go to Makkah, he used to oil himself with a sort of oil that had no pleasant smell, then he would go to the mosque of Al-Hulayfa and offer the prayer, and then ride. When he mounted well on his mount and the mount stood up straight, he would proclaim the intention of assuming ihram, and he used to say that he had seen the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, doing the same. Hadith 41. Narrated Mujahid, I was in the company of Ibn Abbas and the people talked about Ad-Dajjal and said, Ad-Dajjal will come with the word kafir, non-believer, written in between his eyes. On that, Ibn Abbas said, I have not heard this from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, but I heard him saying, as if I saw Moses just now entering the valley reciting Talbiyah. Hadith 42. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, we set out with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in his last Hajj and we assumed ihram for Umrah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, whoever has the hadi with him should assume ihram for Hajj along with Umrah, and should not finish the ihram till he finishes both. I was menstruating when I reached Makkah, and so I neither did tawaf round the Kaaba nor tawaf between Safa and Marwa. I complained about that to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on which he replied, undo and comb your head hair, and assume ihram for Hajj, only, and leave the Umrah. So, I did so. When we had performed the Hajj, the Prophet sent me with my brother Abdur Rahman bin Abu Bakr to Tanim. So I performed the Umrah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to me, this Umrah is instead of your missed one. Those who had assumed ihram for Umrah, Hajj at-Tamattu'a, performed tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa and then finished their ihram. After returning from Mina, they performed another tawaf, between Safa and Marwa. Those who had assumed ihram for Hajj and Umrah together, Hajj al-Qiran, performed only one tawaf, between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 43. Narrated Ata, Jabir said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Ali to keep on assuming his ihram. The narrator then informed about the narration of Suraka. Hadith 44. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Ali came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, from Yemen, to Makkah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked Ali, with what intention have you assumed ihram? Ali replied, I have assumed ihram with the same intention as that of the Prophet. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if I had not the hadi with me, I would have finished the ihram. Muhammad bin Bakr narrated extra from Ibn Jurayj, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Ali, with what intention have you assumed the ihram, O Ali? He replied, with the same intention as that of the Prophet. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, have a hadi and keep your ihram as it is. Hadith 45. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent me to some people in Yemen and when I returned, I found him at Al-Batha. He asked me, with what intention have you assumed ihram, that is, for Hajj or for Umrah or for both? I replied, I have assumed ihram with an intention like that of the Prophet. He asked, have you a hadi with you? I replied in the negative. He ordered me to perform tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa and then to finish my ihram. I did so, and went to a woman from my tribe who combed my hair or washed my head. Then, when Umar came, that is, became caliph, he said, if we follow Allah's book, it orders us to complete Hajj and Umrah, as Allah says, perform the Hajj and Umrah for Allah. Surah 2, Ayah 196. And if we follow the tradition of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who did not finish his ihram till he sacrificed his hadi. Hadith 46. Narrated Al-Qasim bin Muhammad, Aisha said, we set out with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the months of Hajj, and, in, the nights of Hajj, and at the time and places of Hajj and in a state of Hajj. We dismounted at Sarif, a village 6 miles from Makkah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then addressed his companions and said, anyone who has not got the hadi and likes to do Umrah instead of Hajj may do so, that is, Hajj at-Tamattu'a, and anyone who has got the hadi should not finish the ihram after performing Umrah, that is, Hajj al-Qiran. Aisha added, the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, obeyed the above order, and some of them, that is, who did not have Hajj, finished their ihram after Umrah. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and some of his companions were resourceful and had the Hajj with them. They could not perform Umrah alone, but had to perform both Hajj and Umrah with one ihram. Aisha added, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came to me and saw me weeping and said, What makes you weep, O Hunta? I replied, I have heard your conversation with your companions and I cannot perform the Umrah. He asked, What is wrong with you? I replied, I do not offer the prayers, that is, I have my menses. He said, It will not harm you, for you are one of the daughters of Adam, and Allah has written for you this state, as He has written it for them. Keep on with your intentions for Hajj and Allah may reward you that. Aisha further added, Then we proceeded for Hajj till we reached Mina and I became clean from my menses. Then I went out from Mina and performed tawaf round the Kaaba. Aisha added, I went along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in his final departure from Hajj, till he dismounted at Al-Muhassab, a valley outside Makkah, and we too dismounted with him. He called Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr and said to him, Take your sister outside the sanctuary of Makkah and let her assume ihram for Umrah, and when you have finished Umrah, return to this place and I will wait for you both till you both return to me. Aisha added, So we went out of the sanctuary of Makkah and after finishing from the Umrah and the Tawaf, we returned to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at dawn. He, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Have you performed the Umrah? We replied in the affirmative. So he announced the departure amongst his companions and the people set out for the journey, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, too left for Medina. Hadith 47. Narrated Al-Aswad, Aisha said, We went out with the Prophet, from Medina, with the intention of performing Hajj only, and when we reached Makkah we performed tawaf round the Kaaba, and then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered those who had not driven the Hajj along with them to finish their ihram. So the people who had not driven the Hajj along with them finished their ihram. The Prophet's wives, too, had not driven the Hajj with them, so they too finished their ihram. Aisha added, I got my menses and could not perform tawaf round the Kaaba. So when it was the night of Husbah, that is, when we stopped at Al-Muhassab, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Everyone is returning after performing Hajj and Umrah, but I am returning after performing Hajj only. He said, Didn't you perform tawaf round the Kaaba the night we reached Makkah? I replied in the negative. He said, Go with your brother to Tanim and assume the ihram for Umrah, and after performing it, come back to such and such a place. On that, Ṣaḥīḥ said, I feel that I will detain you all. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O rahimahullāh. Didn't you perform tawaf of the Kaaba on the day of sacrifice? That is, tawaf al-Ifadah. Ṣaḥīḥ replied in the affirmative. He said, to Ṣaḥīḥ, There is no harm for you to proceed on with us. Aisha added, After returning from Umrah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, met me while he was ascending from Makkah, and I was descending to it, or I was ascending and he was descending. Hadith 48. Narrated Aisha, We set out with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to Makkah, in the year of the Prophet's last Hajj. Some of us had assumed ihram for Umrah only, some for both Hajj and Umrah, and others for Hajj only. Allah's Apostle assumed ihram for Hajj. So whoever had assumed ihram for Hajj or for both Hajj and Umrah did not finish the ihram till the day of sacrifice. Hadith 49. Narrated Marwan bin al-Hakam, I saw Uthman and Ali. Uthman used to forbid people to perform Hajj at Tamattu'a and Hajj al-Qiran, Hajj and Umrah together, and when Ali saw this act of Uthman, he assumed ihram for Hajj and Umrah together saying, Labbaik for Umrah and Hajj, and said, I will not leave the tradition of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the saying of somebody. Hadith 50. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the people, of the pre-Islamic period, used to think that to perform Umrah during the months of Hajj was one of the major sins on earth. And also used to consider the month of Safar as a forbidden, that is, sacred, month, and they used to say, when the wounds of the camel's back heal up, after they return from Hajj, and the signs of those wounds vanish and the month of Safar passes away, then, at that time, Umrah is permissible for the one who wishes to perform it. In the morning of the 4th of Dhul-Hijjah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions reached Makkah, assuming Ihram for Hajj, and he ordered his companions to make their intentions of the Ihram for Umrah only, instead of Hajj, so they considered his order as something great and were puzzled, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What kind of finishing of Ihram is allowed? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, finish the Ihram completely like a non-muhrim, you are allowed everything. Hadith 51. Narrated Abu Musa, I came to the Prophet, from Yemen and was assuming Ihram for Hajj, and he ordered me to finish the Ihram, after performing the Umrah. Hadith 52. Narrated Ibn Umar, Hafsa, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Why have the people finished their Ihram after performing Umrah, but you have not finished your Ihram after performing Umrah? He replied, I have matted my hair and garlanded my hadi. So I will not finish my Ihram till I have slaughtered my hadi. Hadith 53. Narrated Shu'bah, Abu Jamrah Nasr bin Imran ad-Dubai said, I intended to perform Hajj at-Tamattu'a and the people advised me not to do so. I asked Ibn Abbas regarding it, and he ordered me to perform Hajj at-Tamattu'a. Later I saw in a dream someone saying to me, Hajj Mabrur, Hajj performed in accordance with the Prophet's tradition without committing sins and accepted by Allah, and an accepted Umrah. So I told that dream to Ibn Abbas. He said, this is the tradition of Abul Qasim. Then he said to me, stay with me and I shall give you a portion of my property. I, Shu'bah, asked, why did he invite you? He, Abu Jamrah, said, because of the dream which I had seen. Hadith 54. Narrated Abu Shihab, I left for Makkah for Hajj at-Tamattu'a assuming Ihram for Umrah. I reached Makkah 3 days before the day of Tarwiyah, 8th Dhul-Hijjah. Some people of Makkah said to me, your Hajj will be like the Hajj performed by the people of Makkah, that is, you will lose the superiority of assuming Ihram from the Miqat. So I went to Atta asking him his view about it. He said, Jabir bin Abdullāh narrated to me, I performed Hajj with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day when he drove camels with him. The people had assumed Ihram for Hajj al-Ifrad. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered them to finish their Ihram after tawaf round the Kaaba, and between Safa and Marwa, and to cut short their hair, and then to stay there, in Makkah, as non-muhrims till the day of Tarwiyah, that is, 8th of Dhul-Hijjah, when they would assume Ihram for Hajj, and they were ordered to make the Ihram with which they had come as for Umrah only. They asked, how can we make it Umrah, Tamattu'a, as we have intended to perform Hajj? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do what I have ordered you. Had I not brought the hadi with me, I would have done the same, but I cannot finish my Ihram till the hadi reaches its destination, that is slaughtered. So, they did what he ordered them to do. Hadith 55. Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab, Ali and Uthman differed regarding Hajj at-Tamattu'a while they were at Isfān, a familiar place near Makkah. Ali said, I see you want to forbid people to do a thing that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did. When Ali saw that, he assumed Ihram for both Hajj and Umrah. Hadith 56. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, we came with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to Makkah, and we were saying, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, for Hajj. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered us to perform Umrah with that ihram, instead of Hajj. Hadith 57. Narrated Imran, we performed Hajj at-Tamattu' in the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and then the Quran was revealed, regarding Hajj at-Tamattu', and somebody said what he wished, regarding Hajj at-Tamattu', according his own opinion. Hadith 58. Ibn Abbas said that he has been asked regarding Hajj at-Tamattu', on which he said, the Muhajirin and the Ansar and the wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and we did the same. When we reached Makkah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, give up your intention of doing the Hajj, at this moment, and perform Umrah, except the one who had garlanded the Hadi. So, we performed Tawaf round the Kaaba and, Ṣaḥīḥ, between As-Safa and Al-Marwa, slept with our wives and wore ordinary, stitched, clothes. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, whoever has garlanded his Hadi is not allowed to finish the ihram till the Hadi has reached its destination, has been sacrificed. Then on the night of Tarwiyah, 8th Dhul-Hijjah, in the afternoon, he ordered us to assume ihram for Hajj, and when we had performed all the ceremonies of Hajj, we came and performed Tawaf round the Kaaba and, Ṣaḥīḥ, between As-Safa and Al-Marwa, and then our Hajj was complete, and we had to sacrifice a Hadi according to the statement of Allah. He must slaughter a Hadi such as he can afford, but if he cannot afford it, he should observe Sawm, fasts, 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days after his return to his home, Surah 2, Ayah 196. And the sacrifice of the sheep is sufficient. So, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions joined the two religious deeds, that is, Hajj and Umrah, in 1 year, for Allah revealed the permissibility of such practice in his book and in the Sunnah, legal ways, of his Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and rendered it permissible for all the people except those living in Makkah. Allah says, this is for him whose family is not present at the Al-Masjid al-Haram, that is, non-resident of Makkah. The months of Hajj which Allah mentioned in his book are, Shawwal, Dhul-Qa'dah and Dhul-Hijjah. Whoever performed Hajj at-Tamattu' in those months, then slaughtering or fasting is compulsory for him. The words, ar-Rafath means sexual intercourse, al-Fusuk means all kinds of sin, and al-Jadal means to dispute. Hadith 59. Narrated Nafi, on reaching the sanctuary of Makkah, Ibn Umar used to stop reciting Talbiyah, and then he would pass the night at Tuwa, and then offer the Fajr prayer and take a bath. He used to say that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to do the same. Hadith 60. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed the night at Tuwa till it was dawn and then he entered Makkah. Ibn Umar used to do the same. Hadith 61. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to enter Makkah from the high Thaniyyah, and used to leave Makkah from the low Thaniyyah. Hadith 62. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah from Qada from the highest Thaniyyah which is at Al-Batha, and used to leave Makkah from the low Thaniyyah. Hadith 63. Narrated Aisha, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to Makkah, he entered from its higher side and left from its lower side. Hadith 64. Narrated Aisha, in the year of the conquest of Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah from Qada and left Makkah from Qada, from the higher part of Makkah. Hadith 65. Narrated Aisha, in the year of the conquest of Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah from Qada at the higher place of Makkah. Hisham, a sub-narrator said, Urwa used to enter Makkah from both Qada and Qada, and he often entered through Qada which was nearer to his dwelling place. Hadith 66. Narrated Hisham, Urwa said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah in the year of the conquest of Makkah from the side of Qada which is at the higher part of Makkah. Urwa often entered from Qada, which was nearer of the two to his dwelling place. Hadith 67. Narrated Hisham from his father, in the year of the conquest of Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered Makkah from the side of Qada. Urwa used to enter through both places, and he often entered through Qada, which was nearer of the two to his dwelling place. Hadith 68. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, when the Kaaba was built, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and Abbas went to bring stones, for its construction. Al-Abbas said to the Prophet, "Take off your waist sheet and put it on your neck." When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, took it off, he fell on the ground with his eyes open towards the sky and said, "Give me my waist sheet." And he covered himself with it. Hadith 69. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to her, "Do you know that when your people, Quraysh, rebuilt the Kaaba, they decreased it from its original foundation laid by Abraham?" I said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Why don't you rebuild it on its original foundation laid by Abraham?" He replied, "Were it not for the fact that your people are close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, that is, they have recently become Muslims, I would have done so." The sub-narrator, Abdullāh bin Umar, stated, "Aisha must have heard this from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, for in my opinion, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had not placed his hand over the two corners of the Kaaba opposite Al-Hijr only because the Kaaba was not rebuilt on its original foundations laid by Abraham." Hadith 70. Narrated Aisha, I asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, whether the round wall, near Kaaba, was part of the Kaaba. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied in the affirmative. I further said, "What is wrong with them, why have they not included it in the building of the Kaaba?" He said, "Don't you see that your people, Quraysh, ran short of money, so they could not include it inside the building of Kaaba?" I asked, "What about its gate? Why is it so high?" He replied, "Your people did this so as to admit into it whomever they liked, and prevent whomever they liked." Were your people not close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, that is, they have recently embraced Islam, and were I not afraid that they would dislike it, surely I would have included the area of the wall inside the building of the Kaaba, and I would have lowered its gate to the level of the ground. Hadith 71. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to me, "Were your people not close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I would have demolished the Kaaba and would have rebuilt it on its original foundations laid by Abraham, for Quraysh had curtailed its building, and I would have built a back door, too." Hadith 72. Narrated Yazid bin Ruman from Urwa, Aisha said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to her, "O Aisha, were your nation not close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I would have had the Kaaba demolished and would have included in it the portion which had been left, and would have made it at a level with the ground and would have made two doors for it, one towards the east and the other towards the west, and then by doing this it would have been built on the foundations laid by Abraham." That was what urged Ibn az-Zubayr to demolish the Kaaba. Yazid said, "I saw Ibn az-Zubayr when he demolished and rebuilt the Kaaba and included in it a portion of Al-Hijr, the unroofed portion of Kaaba which is at present in the form of a compound towards the northwest of the Kaaba. I saw the original foundations of Abraham which were of stones resembling the humps of camels." So Jarir asked Yazid, "Where was the place of those stones?" Yazid said, "I will just now show it to you." So Jarir accompanied Yazid and entered Al-Hijr, and Yazid pointed to a place and said, "Here it is." Jarir said, "It appeared to me about 6 cubits from Al-Hijr or so." Hadith 73. Narrated Ibn Abbas, on the day of the conquest of Makkah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Allah has made this town a sanctuary. Its thorny bushes should not be cut, its game should not be chased, and its fallen things should not be picked up, except by one who would announce it publicly." Hadith 74. Narrated Usama bin Zayd, I asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, where will you stay in Mecca? Will you stay in your house in Mecca? He replied, Has Aqil left any property or house? Aqil along with Talib had inherited the property of Abu Talib. Ja'far and Ali did not inherit anything, as they were Muslims and the other two were non-believers. Umar bin al-Khattab used to say, a believer cannot inherit anything from an infidel. Ibn Shihab, a sub-narrator, said, they, Umar and others, derived the above verdict from Allah's statement, Verily, those who believed and emigrated and strove with their life and property in Allah's cause, and those who helped, the emigrants, and gave them their places to live in, these are, all, allies to one another. Surah 8, Ayah 72. Hadith 75. Narrated Abu Hurairah, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to enter Makkah, he said, Our destination tomorrow, if Allah wished, will be Kaif Bani Kinana, where, the pagans, had taken the oath of kufr, against the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, that is, to be loyal to heathenism by boycotting Bani Hashim, the Prophet's folk. Hadith 76. Narrated Abu Hurairah, on the day of Nahr at Mina, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Tomorrow we shall stay at Kaif Bani Kinana, where the pagans had taken the oath of kufr, heathenism. He meant, by that place, Al-Muhassab, where the Quraysh tribe and Bani Kinana concluded a contract against Bani Hashim and Bani Abdul Muttalib or Bani al-Muttalib, that they would not intermarry with them or deal with them in business until they handed over the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to them. Hadith 77. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, Dus Suwaikatain, literally, one with two lean legs, from Ethiopia will demolish the Kaaba. Hadith 78. Narrated Aisha, the people used to fast on Ashura, the 10th day of the month of Muharram, before the fasting of Ramadan was made obligatory. And on that day the Kaaba used to be covered with a cover. When Allah made the fasting of the month of Ramadan compulsory, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Whoever wishes to fast, on the day of Ashura, may do so, and whoever wishes to leave it can do so. Hadith 79. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The people will continue performing the Hajj and Umrah to the Kaaba even after the appearance of Gog and Magog. Narrated Shu'bah extra, the hour, day of judgment, will not be established till the Hajj, to the Kaaba, is abandoned. Hadith 80. Narrated Abu Wa'il, one day, I sat along with Shaybah on the chair inside the Kaaba. He, Shaybah, said, No doubt, Umar sat at this place and said, I intended not to leave any yellow, that is, gold, or white, that is, silver, inside the Kaaba, undistributed. I said, to Umar, But your two companions, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and Abu Bakr, did not do so. Umar said, They are the two persons whom I always follow. Hadith 81. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, As if I were looking at him, a black person with thin legs plucking the stones of the Kaaba one after another. Hadith 82. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Dus Suwaikatain, the thin-legged man, from Ethiopia will demolish the Kaaba. Hadith 83. Narrated Abbas bin Rabi'ah, Umar came near the black stone and kissed it, and said, No doubt, I know that you are a stone and can neither benefit anyone nor harm anyone. Had I not seen Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, kissing you, I would not have kissed you. Hadith 84. Narrated Salim that his father said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, Usama bin Zayd, Bilal, and Uthman bin Abu Talha entered the Kaaba and then closed its door. When they opened the door, I was the first person to enter the Kaaba. I met Bilal and asked him, did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, offer a prayer inside the Kaaba? Bilal replied in the affirmative and said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the prayer, in between the two right pillars. Hadith 85. Narrated Nafi, whenever Ibn Umar entered the Kaaba, he used to walk straight keeping the door at his back on entering, and used to proceed on till about 3 cubits from the wall in front of him, and then he would offer the prayer there aiming at the place where Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, prayed, as Bilal had told him. There is no harm for any person to offer the prayer at any place inside the Kaaba. Hadith 86. Narrated Ismail bin Abu Khalid, Abdullāh bin Abu Awfa said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed the Umrah. He performed Tawaf of the Kaaba and offered 2 rakat behind the Maqam, Abraham's place, and was accompanied by those who were screening him from the people. Somebody asked Abdullah, did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, enter the Kaaba? Abdullah replied in the negative. Hadith 87. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came to Makkah, he refused to enter the Kaaba with idols in it. He ordered idols to be taken out. So they were taken out. The people took out the pictures of Abraham and Ishmael holding uslams in their hands. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, may Allah curse these people. By Allah, both Abraham and Ishmael never did the game of chance with uslams. Then he entered the Kaaba and said takbir at its corners, but did not offer the prayer in it. Hadith 88. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions came to Makkah, the pagans circulated the news that a group of people were coming to them and they had been weakened by the fever of Yathrib, Medina. So the Prophet ordered his companions to do Ramal in the first 3 rounds of Tawaf of the Kaaba and to walk between the 2 corners, the Black Stone and Yemenite corner. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not order them to do Ramal in all the rounds of Tawaf out of pity for them. Hadith 89. Narrated Salim that his father said, I saw Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, arriving at Makkah. He kissed the black stone corner first while doing Tawaf, and did Ramal in the first 3 rounds of the 7 rounds of Tawaf. Hadith 90. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did Ramal in, first, 3 rounds, of Tawaf, and walked in the remaining 4, in Hajj and Umrah. Hadith 91. Narrated Zayd bin Aslam from his father who said, Umar bin al-Khattab addressed the corner, black stone, saying, by Allah, I know that you are a stone and can neither benefit nor harm. Had I not seen the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, touching and kissing you, I would never have touched and kissed you. Then he kissed it, and said, there is no reason for us to do Ramal, in Tawaf, except that we wanted to show off before the pagans, and now Allah has destroyed them. Umar added, nevertheless, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did that and we do not want to leave it, that is, Ramal. Hadith 92. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar said, I have never missed the touching of these 2 stones of Kaaba, the black stone and the Yemenite corner, both in the presence and the absence of crowds, since I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, touching them. I asked Nafi, did Ibn Umar used to walk between the 2 corners? Nafi replied, he used to walk in order that it might be easy for him to touch it, the corner stone. Hadith 93. Narrated Ibn Abbas, in his last Hajj, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed Tawaf of the Kaaba riding a camel and pointed a bent-headed stick towards the corner, black stone. Hadith 94. Abu Ash-Shatha said, who keeps away from some portion of the Kaaba? Muawiyah used to touch the 4 corners of the Kaaba. Ibn Abbas said to him, these 2 corners, the one facing the Hijr, are not to be touched. Muawiyah said, nothing is untouchable in the Kaaba. And Ibn az-Zubayr used to touch all the corners of the Kaaba. Hadith 95. Narrated Salim bin Abdullāh that his father said, I have not seen the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, touching except the two Yemenite corners, that is, the ones facing Yemen. Hadith 96. Narrated Zayd bin Aslam that his father said, I saw Umar bin al-Khattab kissing the black stone, and he then said to it, had I not seen Allah's apostle kissing you, stone, I would not have kissed you. Hadith 97. Narrated az-Zubayr bin Arabi, a man asked Ibn Umar about the touching of the black stone. Ibn Umar said, I saw Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, touching and kissing it. The questioner said, but if there were a throng, much rush, round the Kaaba and the people overpowered me, what would I do? He replied angrily, stay in Yemen, as that man was from Yemen. I saw Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, touching and kissing it. Hadith 98. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed tawaf of the Kaaba while riding a camel, and whenever he came in front of the corner, he pointed towards it, with something. Hadith 99. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed tawaf of the Kaaba riding a camel, and every time he came in front of the corner, having the black stone, he pointed towards it with something he had with him and said takbir. Hadith 100. Narrated Urwa, Aisha said, the first thing the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did on reaching Makkah, was the ablution, and then he performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and that was not Umrah alone, but Hajj al-Qiran. Urwa added, later Abu Bakr and Umar did the same in their Hajj. And I performed the Hajj with my father az-Zubayr, and the first thing he did was tawaf of the Kaaba. Later I saw the Muhajirin, emigrants, and the Ansar doing the same. My mother, Ismā, told me that she, her sister, Aisha, az-Zubayr and such persons assumed ihram for Umrah, and after they passed their hands over the black stone corner of the Kaaba, they finished the ihram, that is, after doing tawaf of the Kaaba and sa'i between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 101. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, when Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed tawaf of the Kaaba for Hajj or Umrah, he used to do ramal during the first 3 rounds, and in the last 4 rounds he used to walk, then after the tawaf he used to offer 2 rakat, and then perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 102. Narrated Ibn Umar, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed the tawaf of the Kaaba, he did ramal during the first 3 rounds, and in the last 4 rounds he used to walk, and while doing tawaf between Safa and Marwa, he used to run in the midst of the rainwater passage. Hadith 103. Ibn Jurayj said, Ata informed us that when Ibn Hisham forbade women to perform tawaf with men, he said to him, how do you forbid them while the wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to perform tawaf with the men? I said, was this before decreeing of the use of the veil or after it? Ata took an oath and said, I saw it after the order of veil. I said, how did they mix with the men? Ata said, the women never mixed with the men, and Aisha used to perform tawaf separately and never mixed with men. Once it happened that Aisha was performing the tawaf, and a woman said to her, O mother of believers, let us touch the black stone. Aisha said to her, go yourself, and she herself refused to do so. The wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to come out in night, in disguise, and used to perform tawaf with men. But whenever they intended to enter the Kaaba, they would stay outside till the men had gone out. I and Ubayd bin Umayr used to visit Aisha while she was residing at Jawf Thabir. I asked, what was her veil? Ata said, she was wearing an old Turkish veil, and that was the only thing, veil, which was screened between us and her. I saw a pink cover on her. Hadith 104. Narrated Salama, the wife of the Prophet, I informed Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, that I was ill. So he said, perform the tawaf while riding behind the people. I did so, and at that time the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was praying beside the Kaaba and reciting Surah At-Tur. Hadith 105. Narrated Ibn Abbas, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was performing tawaf of the Kaaba, he passed by a person who had tied his hands to another person with a rope or string or something like that. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, cut it with his own hands and said, lead him by the hand. Hadith 106. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saw a man performing tawaf of the Kaaba tied with a string or something else. So the Prophet cut that string. Hadith 107. Narrated Abu Hurairah, in the year prior to the last Hajj of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, made Abu Bakr the leader of the pilgrims, the latter, Abu Bakr, sent me in the company of a group of people to make a public announcement, no pagan is allowed to perform Hajj after this year, and no naked person is allowed to perform tawaf of the Kaaba. Hadith 108. Narrated Umar, we asked Ibn Umar, may a man have sexual relations with his wife during the Umrah before performing tawaf between Safa and Marwa? He said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived, in Makkah, and circumambulated the Kaaba 7 times, then offered 2 rakat behind Maqam Ibrahim, the station of Abraham, then performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Ibn Umar added, verily, in Allah's Apostle you have a good example. And I asked Jabir bin Abdullāh the same question, and he replied, you should not go near your wives, have sexual relations, till you have finished tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 109. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived at Makkah and performed tawaf of the Kaaba and Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, but he did not go near the Kaaba after his tawaf till he returned from Arafat. Hadith 110. Narrated Salama, the wife of the Prophet, I informed Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, about my illness. Through other sub-narrators, Salama narrated that when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was at Makkah and had just decided to leave Makkah, while she had not yet done tawaf of the Kaaba, and after listening to her, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, when the morning prayer is established, perform the tawaf on your camel while the people are in prayer. So she did the same and did not offer the 2 rakat of tawaf until she came out of the mosque. Hadith 111. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Makkah, circumambulated the Kaaba 7 times and then offered a 2 rakat prayer behind Maqam Ibrahim. Then he went toward Safa. Allah has said, verily, in Allah's Apostle you have a good example. Hadith 112. Narrated Urwa from Aisha, some people performed tawaf of the Kaaba after the morning prayer and then sat to listen to a preacher till sunrise, and then they stood up for the prayer. Then Aisha commented, those people kept on sitting till it was the time in which the prayer is disliked, and after that they stood up for the prayer. Hadith 113. Narrated Abdullāh, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbidding the offering of prayers at the time of sunrise and sunset. Hadith 114. Narrated Abida bin Humayd, Abdul Aziz bin Rufai said, I saw Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr performing tawaf of the Kaaba after the morning prayer then offering the 2 rakat prayer. Abdul Aziz added, I saw Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr offering a 2 rakat prayer after the Asr prayer. He informed me that Aisha told him that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer those 2 rakat whenever he entered her house. Hadith 115. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed tawaf of the Kaaba, riding a camel. At that time the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had a foot injury. Whenever he came to the corner, having the black stone, he would point out towards it with a thing in his hand and say, Allahu Akbar. Hadith 116. Narrated Salama, I informed Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, that I was sick. He said, perform tawaf of the Kaaba, while riding behind the people. So, I performed the tawaf while Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was offering the prayer beside the Kaaba and was reciting Surah At-Tur. Hadith 117. Narrated Ibn Umar, Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib asked the permission of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to let him stay in Makkah during the nights of Mina in order to provide the pilgrims with water to drink, so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, permitted him. Hadith 118. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came to the drinking place and asked for water. Al-Abbas said, O Fadl, go to your mother and bring water from her for Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, give me water to drink. Al-Abbas said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The people put their hands in it. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, again said, give me water to drink. So, he drank from that water and then went to the Zamzam well, and there the people were offering water to the others and working at it, drawing water from the well. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said to them, carry on. You are doing a good deed. Then he said, were I not afraid that other people would compete with you, in drawing water from Zamzam, I would certainly take the rope and put it over this, that is, his shoulder, to draw water. On saying that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, pointed to his shoulder. Hadith 119. Narrated Anas bin Malik that Abu Dharr said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the roof of my house was made open while I was at Makkah, on the night of Miraj, and Jibreel descended. He opened up my chest and washed it with the water of Zamzam. Then he brought the golden tray full of wisdom and belief and poured it in my chest and then closed it. Then he took hold of my hand and ascended to the nearest heaven. Jibreel told the gatekeeper of the nearest heaven to open the gate. The gatekeeper asked, who is it? Jibreel replied, I am Jibreel. Hadith 120. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I gave Zamzam water to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and he drank it while standing. Asim, a sub-narrator, said that Ikrimah took the oath that on that day the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had not been standing but riding a camel. Hadith 121. Narrated Aisha, we set out with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the year of his last Hajj and we intended, the Ihram, for Umrah. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever has a Hadi with him should assume Ihram for both Hajj and Umrah, and should not finish it till he performs both of them, Hajj and Umrah. When we reached Makkah, I had my menses. When we had performed our Hajj, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent me with Abdur Rahman to Tanim and I performed the Umrah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, this is in lieu of your missed Umrah. Those who had assumed Ihram for Umrah performed Tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, and then finished their Ihram. And then they performed another Tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, after returning from Mina. And those who had assumed Ihram for Hajj and Umrah together, Hajj Qiran, performed only one Tawaf, between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 122. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar and his riding animal entered the house of Ibn Umar. He, the son of Ibn Umar, said, I fear that this year a battle might take place between the people and you might be prevented from going to the Kaaba. I suggest that you should stay here. Ibn Umar said, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, set out for the pilgrimage, and the pagans of Quraysh intervened between him and the Kaaba. So, if the people intervened between me and the Kaaba, I would do the same as Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had done. Verily, in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, you have a good example. Then he added, I make you a witness that I have intended to perform Hajj along with Umrah. After arriving at Makkah, Ibn Umar performed one tawaf only, between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 123. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar intended to perform Hajj in the year when Al-Hajjaj attacked Ibn az-Zubayr. Somebody said to Ibn Umar, there is a danger of an impending war between them. Ibn Umar said, Verily, in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, you have a good example. And if it happened as you say, then I would do the same as Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had done. I make you witness that I have decided to perform Umrah. Then he set out, and when he reached Al-Baydah, he said, the ceremonies of both Hajj and Umrah are similar. I make you witness that I have made Hajj compulsory for me along with Umrah. He drove to Makkah, a hadi which he had bought from a place called Qudayd, and did not do more than that. He did not slaughter the hadi or finish his ihram, or shave or cut short his hair till the day of slaughtering the sacrifices, 10th Dhul-Hijjah. Then he slaughtered his hadi and shaved his head, and considered the first tawaf, of Safa and Marwa, as sufficient for Hajj and Umrah. Ibn Umar said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did the same. Hadith 124. Narrated Muhammad bin Abdur Rahman bin Nawfal al-Qurashi, I asked Urwah bin az-Zubayr, regarding the Hajj of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Urwah replied, Aisha narrated, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Makkah, the first thing he started with was the ablution, then he performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and his intention was not Umrah alone, but Hajj and Umrah together. Later Abu Bakr performed the Hajj, and the first thing he started with was tawaf of the Kaaba, and it was not Umrah alone, but Hajj and Umrah together. And then Umar did the same. Then Uthman performed the Hajj, and the first thing he started with was tawaf of the Kaaba, and it was not Umrah alone. And then Muawiyah and Abdullāh bin Umar did the same. I performed Hajj with Ibn az-Zubayr, and the first thing he started with was tawaf of the Kaaba, and it was not Umrah alone, but Hajj and Umrah together. Then I saw the Muhajirin, emigrants, and Ansar doing the same, and it was not Umrah alone. And the last person I saw doing the same was Ibn Umar, and he did not do another Umrah after finishing the first. Now here is Ibn Umar present amongst the people. They neither ask him nor anyone of the previous ones. And all these people, on entering Makkah, would not start with anything unless they had performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and would not finish their ihram. And no doubt, I saw my mother and my aunt, on entering Makkah, doing nothing before performing tawaf of the Kaaba, and they would not finish their ihram. And my mother informed me that she, her sister, Az-Zubayr and such persons had assumed ihram for Umrah, and after passing their hands over the corner, the black stone, that is, finishing their Umrah, they finished their ihram. Hadith 125. Narrated Urwah, I asked Aisha, how do you interpret the statement of Allah, verily? The mountains, As-Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah, and whoever performs the Hajj to the Kaaba or performs Umrah, it is not harmful for him to perform tawaf between them, Safa and Marwa, Surah 2, Ayah 158. By Allah. It is evident from this revelation, there is no harm if one does not perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Aisha said, O my nephew! Your interpretation is not true. Had this interpretation of yours been correct, the statement of Allah should have been, it is not harmful for him if he does not perform tawaf between them. But in fact, this divine inspiration was revealed concerning the Ansar who used to assume ihram for worshipping an idol called Manat, which they used to worship at a place called Al-Mashalal before they embraced Islam, and whoever assumed ihram, for the idol, would consider it not right to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. When they embraced Islam, they asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, regarding it, saying, O Allah's Apostle, we used to refrain from tawaf between Safa and Marwa. So Allah revealed, verily, the mountains, As-Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah. Aisha added, surely, Allah's Apostle set the tradition of tawaf between Safa and Marwa, so nobody is allowed to omit the tawaf between them. Later on Urwa, told Abu Bakr bin Abdurrahman, of Aisha's narration, and he said, I have not heard of such information, but I heard learned men saying that all the people, except those whom Aisha mentioned and who used to assume ihram for the sake of manat, used to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. When Allah referred to the tawaf of the Kaaba and did not mention Safa and Marwa in the Quran, the people asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, we used to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa, and Allah has revealed the verses concerning tawaf of the Kaaba and has not mentioned Safa and Marwa. Is there any harm if we perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa? So Allah revealed, verily As-Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah. Abu Bakr said, it seems that this verse was revealed concerning the two groups, those who used to refrain from tawaf between Safa and Marwa in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, and those who used to perform the tawaf then, and after embracing Islam they refrained from the tawaf between them, as Allah had enjoined tawaf of the Kaaba and did not mention tawaf of Safa and Marwa, till later after mentioning the tawaf of the Kaaba. Hadith 126. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar said, when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed the first tawaf, he did rumul in the first 3 rounds and then walked in the remaining 4 rounds of tawaf of the Kaaba, whereas in performing tawaf between Safa and Marwa, he used to run in the midst of the rainwater passage. I asked Nafi, did Abdullāh bin Umar used to walk steadily on reaching the Yemenite corner? He replied, no, unless people were crowded at the corner, otherwise he would not leave it without touching it. Hadith 127. Narrated Amr bin Dinar, we asked Ibn Umar whether a man who, while performing Umrah, had performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and had not yet performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa, could have sexual relation with his wife. Ibn Umar replied, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Makkah and performed the 7 rounds of tawaf of the Kaaba, and then offered a 2-rakat prayer behind Maqam Ibrahim, and then performed the 7 rounds of tawaf between Safa and Marwa. He added, verily, in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, you have a good example. We asked Jabir bin Abdullāh the same question, and he said, that man, should not come near his wife till he has completed tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Hadith 128. Narrated Amr bin Dinar, I heard Ibn Umar saying, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived at Makkah and performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and then offered a 2-rakat prayer, and then performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Ibn Umar then recited the verse, verily, in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, you have a good example. Hadith 129. Narrated Asim, I asked Anas bin Malik, did you use to dislike to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa? He said, yes, as it was of the ceremonies of the days of the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, till Allah revealed, verily, the 2 mountains, As-Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah. It is therefore no sin for him who performs the pilgrimage to the Kaaba, or performs Umrah, to perform tawaf between them. Surah 2, Ayah 158. Hadith 130. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed tawaf of the Kaaba and the Sa'i of Safa and Marwa so as to show his strength to the pagans. Hadith 131. Narrated Aisha, I was menstruating when I reached Makkah. So, I neither performed tawaf of the Kaaba, nor the tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Then I informed Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, about it. He replied, perform all the ceremonies of Hajj like the other pilgrims, but do not perform tawaf of the Kaaba till you get clean, from your menses. Hadith 132. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions assumed ihram for Hajj, and none except the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and Tulha had the hadīth, sacrifice, with them. Ali arrived from Yemen and had a hadīth with him. Ali said, I have assumed ihram for what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, has done. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered his companions to perform the Umrah with the ihram which they had assumed, and after finishing tawaf, of Kaaba, Safa and Marwa, to cut short their hair, and to finish their ihram except those who had hadīth with them. They, the people, said, how can we proceed to Mina, for Hajj, after having sexual relations with our wives? When that news reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, if I had formerly known what I came to know lately, I would not have brought the hadīth with me. Had there been no hadīth with me, I would have finished the state of ihram. Aisha got her menses, so she performed all the ceremonies of Hajj except tawaf of the Kaaba, and when she got clean, from her menses, she performed tawaf of the Kaaba. She said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. All of you are returning with the Hajj and Umrah, but I am returning after performing Hajj only. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr to accompany her to Tanim, and thus she performed the Umrah after the Hajj. Hadith 133. Narrated Hafsa, on Eid, we used to forbid our virgins to go out for Eid prayer. A lady came and stayed at the fortress of Bani Khalaf. She mentioned that her sister was married to one of the companions of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who participated in 12 ghazawats along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and her sister was with him in 6 of them. She said, we used to dress the wounded and look after the patients. She, her sister, asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, is there any harm for a woman to stay at home if she doesn't have a veil? He said, she should cover herself with the veil of her companion, and she should take part in the good deeds and in the religious gatherings of the believers. When Atiyya came, I asked her, did you hear anything about that? Atiyya said, Bi Abi, and she never mentioned the name of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, without saying, Bi Abi, that is, let my father be sacrificed for you. We asked her, have you heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying so and so, about women? She replied in the affirmative and said, let my father be sacrificed for him. He told us that unmarried mature virgins who stay often screened or unmarried young virgins and mature girls who stay often screened should come out and take part in the good deeds and in the religious gatherings of the believers. But the menstruating women should keep away from the musalla, praying place. I asked her, the menstruating women? She replied, don't they present themselves at Arafat and at such places? Hadith 134. Narrated Abdulaziz bin Rufai, I asked Anas bin Malik, tell me what you remember from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, regarding these questions. Where did he offer the Zuhr and Asr prayers on the day of Tarwiyah, 8th day of Dhul Hijjah? He replied, he offered these prayers at Mina. I asked, where did he offer the Asr prayer on the day of Nafr, that is, departure from Mina on the 12th or 13th of Dhul Hijjah? He replied, at Al-Abtah, and then added, you should do as your chiefs do. Hadith 135. Narrated Abdulaziz, I went out to Mina on the day of Tarwiyah and met Anas going on a donkey. I asked him, where did the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offer the Zuhr prayer on this day? Anas replied, see where your chiefs pray and pray similarly. Hadith 136. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, offered a 2-rakat prayer at Mina. Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman, during the early years of his caliphate, followed the same practice. Hadith 137. Narrated Harithah bin Wahab al-Khuzai, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, led us in a 2-rakat prayer at Mina, although our number was more than ever and we were in better security than ever. Hadith 138. Narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, I offered only a 2-rakat prayer with the Prophet at Mina, and similarly with Abu Bakr and with Umar, and then you differed in opinions. Wish that I would be lucky enough to have 2 of the 4 rakat accepted, by Allah. Hadith 139. Narrated al-Fadl, the people doubted whether the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was observing the fast on the day of Arafat, so I sent something for him to drink and he drank it. Hadith 140. Narrated Muhammad bin Abu Bakr at-Thaqafi, I asked Anas bin Malik while we were proceeding from Mina to Arafat, what did you use to do on this day when you were with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him? Anas said, some of us used to recite Talbiyah and nobody objected to that, and others used to recite Takbir and nobody objected to that. Hadith 141. Narrated Salim, Abdul Malik wrote to al-Hajjaj that he should not differ from Ibn Umar during Hajj. On the day of Arafat, when the sun declined at midday, Ibn Umar came along with me and shouted near al-Hajjaj's cotton, cloth, tent. Al-Hajjaj came out, wrapping himself with a waist sheet dyed with safflower, and said, O Abu Abdurrahman! What is the matter? He said, if you want to follow the Sunnah, the tradition of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then proceed to Arafat. Al-Hajjaj asked, at this very hour? Ibn Umar said, yes. He replied, please wait for me till I pour some water over my head, that is, take a bath, and come out. Then Ibn Umar dismounted and waited till al-Hajjaj came out. So, he, al-Hajjaj, walked in between me and my father, Ibn Umar. I said to him, if you want to follow the Sunnah then deliver a brief sermon and hurry up for the stay at Arafat. He started looking at Abdullah, Ibn Umar, inquiringly, and when Abdullah noticed that, he said that he had told the truth. Hadith 142. Narrated al-Fadl bint al-Harith, on the day of Arafat, some people who were with me, differed about the fasting of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Some said that he was fasting while others said that he was not fasting. So I sent a bowl full of milk to him while he was riding his camel, and he drank that milk. Hadith 143. Ibn Shihab said, Salim said, in the year when al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf attacked Ibn az-Zubayr, the former asked Abdullah, Ibn Umar, what to do during the stay on the day of Arafah, 9th of Dhul-Hijjah. I said to him, if you want to follow the Sunnah, the legal way of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, you should offer the Salat just after midday on the day of the Arafah. Abdullah bin Umar said, he, Salim, has spoken the truth. They, the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Zuhr and Asr prayer together according to the Sunnah. I asked Salim, did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, do that? Salim said, and in doing that, do you, people, follow anything else except his, peace and blessings be upon him, Sunnah? Hadith 144. Narrated Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar, Abdul Malik bin Marwan wrote to al-Hajjaj that he should follow Abdullah bin Umar in all the ceremonies of Hajj. So when it was the day of Arafat, 9th of Dhul-Hijjah, and after the sun had deviated or had declined from the middle of the sky, I and Ibn Umar came and he shouted near the cotton, cloth, tent of al-Hajjaj, where is he? Al-Hajjaj came out. Ibn Umar said, let us proceed to Arafat. Al-Hajjaj asked, just now? Ibn Umar replied, yes. Al-Hajjaj said, wait for me till I pour water on me, that is, take a bath. So, Ibn Umar dismounted, and waited, till al-Hajjaj came out. He was walking between me and my father. I informed al-Hajjaj, if you want to follow the Sunnah today, then you should shorten the sermon and then hurry up for the stay, at Arafat. Ibn Umar said, he, Salim, has spoken the truth. Hadith 145. Narrated Muhammad bin Jubayr bin Mut'im, my father said, before Islam, I was looking for my camel. The same narration is told by a different sub-narrator. Jubayr bin Mut'im said, my camel was lost, and I went out in search of it on the day of Arafat, and I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, standing in Arafat. I said to myself, by Allah, he is from the Homs, literally, strictly religious. Quraysh were called so, as they used to say, we are the people of Allah, we shall not go out of the sanctuary. What has brought him here? Hadith 146. Narrated Urwa, during the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, the people used to perform tawaf of the Kaaba naked, except the Homs, and the Homs were Quraysh and their offspring. The Homs used to give clothes to the men who would perform the tawaf wearing them, and women, of the Homs, used to give clothes to the women who would perform the tawaf wearing them. Those to whom the Homs did not give clothes would perform tawaf round the Kaaba naked. Most of the people used to go away, disperse, directly from Arafat, but they, Homs, used to depart after staying at Al-Muzdalifah. Urwa added, my father narrated that Aisha had said, the following verses were revealed about the Homs, then depart from the place whence all the people depart, Surah 2, Ayah 199. Urwa added, they, the Homs, used to stay at Al-Muzdalifah and used to depart from there, to Mina, and so they were sent to Arafat, by Allah's order. Hadith 147. Narrated Urwa, Usama was asked in my presence, how was the speed of, the camel of, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, while departing from Arafat during the Hajjatul Wada? Usama replied, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, proceeded on with a modest pace, and when there was enough space he would, make his camel, go very fast. Hadith 148. Narrated Usama bin Zayd, as soon as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, departed from Arafat, he went towards the mountain pass, and there he answered the call of nature. He was asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, will you offer the prayer here? He replied, the place of, the prayer is ahead of you, that is, at Al-Muzdalifah. Hadith 149. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar used to offer the Maghrib and Isha prayers together at Jama, Al-Muzdalifah. But he used to pass by that mountain pass where Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, went, and he would enter it and answer the call of nature and perform ablution, and would not offer any prayer till he had prayed at Jama. Hadith 150. Narrated Usama bin Zayd, I rode behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, from Arafat, and when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, reached the mountain pass on the left side which is before Al-Muzdalifah, he made his camel kneel and then urinated, and then I poured water for his ablution. He performed light ablution and then I said to him, is it the time for, the prayer, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him? He replied, the place of, prayer is ahead of you, that is, at Al-Muzdalifah. So Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, rode till he reached Al-Muzdalifah, and then he offered the prayer, there. Then in the morning, 10th Dhul-Hijjah, Al-Fadl bin Abbas, rode behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Quraib, a sub-narrator, said that Abdullāh bin Abbas narrated from Al-Fadl, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, kept on reciting Talbiyah, during the journey, till he reached the Jamrat al-Aqaba. Hadith 151. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I proceeded along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Arafat, 9th Dhul-Hijjah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, heard a great hue and cry and the beating of camels behind him. So he beckoned to the people with his lash, "O people! Be quiet! Hastening is not a sign of righteousness." Hadith 152. Narrated Usama bin Zayd, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, proceeded from Arafat and dismounted at the mountainous pass and then urinated and performed a light ablution. I said to him, "Shall we offer the prayer?" He replied, "The prayer is ahead of you, that is, at Al-Muzdalifah." When he came to Al-Muzdalifah, he performed a perfect ablution. Then Iqamah for the prayer was pronounced and he offered the Maghrib prayer, and then every person made his camel kneel at his place, and then Iqamah for the prayer was pronounced and he offered the Isha prayer and he did not offer any prayer in between them, that is, Maghrib and Isha prayers. Hadith 153. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Maghrib and Isha prayers together at Jummah, that is, Al-Muzdalifah, with a separate Iqamah for each of them, and did not offer any optional prayer in between them or after each of them. Hadith 154. Narrated Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Maghrib and Isha prayers together at Al-Muzdalifah. Hadith 155. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid, Abdullāh performed the Hajj, and we reached Al-Muzdalifah at or about the time of the Isha prayer. He ordered a man to pronounce the Adhan and Iqamah, and then he offered the Maghrib prayer and offered 2 rakat after it. Then he asked for his supper and took it, and then, I think, he ordered a man to pronounce the Adhan and Iqamah, for the Isha prayer. Umar, a sub-narrator said, the intervening statement, I think, was said by the sub-narrator Zuhair, that is, not by Abdur Rahman. Then Abdullah offered 2 rakat of Isha prayer. When the day dawned, Abdullah said, the Prophet never offered any prayer at this hour except this prayer at this time and at this place and on this day. Abdullah added, these 2 prayers are shifted from their actual times. The Maghrib prayer is offered when the people reached Al-Muzdalifah, and the Fajr, morning, prayer at the early dawn. Abdullah added, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, doing that. Hadith 156. Narrated Salim, Abdullah bin Umar used to send the week among his family early to Mina. So they used to depart from Al-Mashar al-Haram, that is Al-Muzdalifah, at night, when the moon had set, and invoke Allah as much as they could, and then they would return to Mina, before the Imam had started from Al-Muzdalifah to Mina. So some of them would reach Mina at the time of the Fajr prayer and some of them would come later. When they reached Mina they would throw pebbles on the Jamrat al-Aqabah. Ibn Umar used to say, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, gave the permission to them, weak people, to do so. Hadith 157. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had sent me from Jummah, that is, Al-Muzdalifah, at night. Hadith 158. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I was among those whom the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent on the night of Al-Muzdalifah early, being among the weak members of his family. Hadith 159. Narrated Abdullah, the slave of Ismā, during the night of Jummah, Ismā got down at Al-Muzdalifah and stood up for offering the prayer and offered the prayer for some time and then asked, O my son, has the moon set? I replied in the negative and she again prayed for another period and then asked, has the moon set? I replied, yes. So she said that we should set out for Mina, and we departed and went on till she threw pebbles at the Jamrat al-Aqabah, and then she returned to her dwelling place and offered the morning prayer. I asked her, O you, I think we have come to Mina early in the night. She replied, O my son, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, gave permission to the women to do so. Hadith 160. Narrated Aisha, Saudah asked the permission of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to leave earlier at the night of Jummah, and she was a fat and very slow woman. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave her permission. Hadith 161. Narrated Aisha, we got down at Al-Muzdalifah and Sauda asked the permission of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to leave, early, before the rush of the people. She was a slow woman and he gave her permission, so she departed, from Al-Muzdalifah, before the rush of the people. We kept on staying at Al-Muzdalifah till dawn, and set out with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, but I suffered so much that I wished I had taken the permission of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as Sauda had done, and that would have been dearer to me than any other happiness. Hadith 162. Narrated Abdullāh, I never saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offering any prayer not at its stated time except two. He prayed the Maghrib and the Isha together and he offered the morning prayer before its usual time. Hadith 163. Narrated Abdur-Rahman bin Yazid, I went out with Abdullāh to Makkah, and when we proceeded to Jummah, he offered the two prayers, the Maghrib and the Isha, together, making the Adhan and Iqamah separately for each prayer. He took his supper in between the two prayers. He offered the Fajr prayer as soon as the day dawned. Some people said, the day had dawned, at the time of the prayer, and others said, the day had not dawned. Abdullāh then said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, these two prayers have been shifted from their stated times at this place only, at Al-Muzdalifah, first, the Maghrib and the Isha. So the people should not arrive at Al-Muzdalifah till the time of the Isha prayer has become due. The second prayer is the morning prayer which is offered at this hour. Then Abdullāh stayed there till it became a bit brighter. He then said, if the chief of the believers hastened onwards to Mina just now, then he had indeed followed the Sunnah. I do not know which preceded the other, his, Abdullah's, statement or the departure of Uthman. Abdullāh was reciting Talbiyah till he threw pebbles at the Jamrat al-Aqabah on the day of Nahr, slaughtering, that is the 10th of Dhul-Hijjah. Hadith 164. Narrated Amr bin Maymun, I saw Umar, offering the Fajr, morning, prayer at Jummah, then he got up and said, the pagans did not use to depart, from Jummah, till the sun had risen, and they used to say, let the sun shine on Thabir, a mountain. But the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, contradicted them and departed from Jummah before sunrise. Hadith 165. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made Al-Fadl ride behind him, and Al-Fadl informed that he, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept on reciting Talbiyah till he did the Rami of the Jamrat al-Aqabah. Hadith 166. Narrated Ubaydullah bin Abdullah, Ibn Abbas said, Usama bin Zayd rode behind the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, from Arafat to Al-Muzdalifah, and then from Al-Muzdalifah to Mina, Al-Fadl rode behind him. He added, both of them, Usama and Al-Fadl, said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was constantly reciting Talbiyah till he did Rami of the Jamrat al-Aqabah. Hadith 167. Narrated Abu Jamrah, I asked Ibn Abbas about Hajj at-Tamattu'. He ordered me to perform it. I asked him about the hadi, sacrifice. He said, you have to slaughter a camel, a cow or a sheep, or you may share the hadi with the others. It seemed that some people disliked it, Hajj at-Tamattu'. I slept and dreamt as if a person was announcing, Hajj Mabrur and accepted Mudah, Hajj at-Tamattu'. I went to Ibn Abbas and narrated it to him. He said, Allah is greater. That was the tradition of Abu al-Qasim, that is, Prophet. Narrated Shu'bah that the call in the dream was, an accepted Umrah and Hajj Mabrur. Hadith 168. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saw a man driving his badana, sacrificial camel. He said, ride on it. The man said, "It is a badana." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Ride on it." He, the man, said, "It is a badana." The Prophet said, "Ride on it." And on the second or the third time he, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, "Woe to you." Hadith 169. Narrated on us, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saw a man driving a badana. He said, "Ride on it." The man replied, "It is a badana." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, again, "Ride on it." He, the man, said, "It is a badana." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said thrice, "Ride on it." Hadith 170. Narrated Ibn Umar, during the last Hajj, Hajj al-Wada, of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, he performed Umrah and Hajj. He drove a Hadi along with him from Dhul Hulayfa. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, started by assuming Ihram for Umrah and Hajj. And the people, too, performed the Umrah and Hajj along with the Prophet. Some of them brought the Hadi and drove it along with them, while the others did not. So, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived at Makkah, he said to the people, "Whoever among you has driven the Hadi, should not finish his Ihram till he completes his Hajj. And whoever among you has not driven the Hadi with him, should perform Tawaf of the Kaaba and the Tawaf between Safa and Marwa, then cut short his hair and finish his Ihram, and should later assume Ihram for Hajj, but he must offer a Hadi, sacrifice, and if anyone cannot afford a Hadi, he should fast for 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days when he returns home." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed Tawaf of the Kaaba on his arrival. At Makkah, he touched the black stone corner first of all and then did Ramal, fast walking with moving of the shoulders, during the first 3 rounds round the Kaaba, and during the last 4 rounds he walked. After finishing Tawaf of the Kaaba, he offered a 2-rakat prayer at Maqam Ibrahim, and after finishing the prayer, he went to Safa and Marwa and performed 7 rounds of Tawaf between them, and did not do any deed forbidden because of Ihram, till he finished all the ceremonies of his Hajj and sacrificed his Hadi on the day of Nahr, 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. He then hastened onwards, to Makkah, and performed Tawaf of the Kaaba, and then everything that was forbidden because of Ihram became permissible. Those who took and drove the Hadi with them did the same as Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did. Hadith 171. Narrated Urwa, Aisha informed me about the Hajj and Umrah, together, of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and so did the people who were with him, during the Hajj and Umrah. And the narration similar to the narration of Ibn Umar, previous Hadith. Hadith 172. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar said to his father, "Stay here, for I am afraid that affliction between Ibn Zubayr and al-Hajjaj, might prevent you from reaching the Kaaba." Ibn Umar said, "In this case, I would do the same as Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did, and Allah has said, verily, in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, you have a good example to follow. So, I make you, people, witness that I have made Umrah compulsory for me." So he assumed Ihram for Umrah. Then he went out, and when he reached Al-Baydah, he assumed Ihram for Hajj and Umrah, together, and said, "The conditions, requisites, of Hajj and Umrah are the same." He then bought a Hadi from Qudayd. Then he arrived at Makkah, and performed Tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, once for both Hajj and Umrah, and did not finish the Ihram till he had finished both Hajj and Umrah. Hadith 173. Narrated Al-Miswar bin Makramah and Marwan, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, set out from Medina with over 1,000 of his companions, at the time of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and when they reached Dhul Hulayfa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, garlanded his Hadi and marked it and assumed Ihram for Umrah. Hadith 174. Narrated Aisha I twisted with my own hands the garlands for the boudin of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who garlanded and marked them, and then made them proceed to Makkah, yet no permissible thing was regarded as illegal for him then. Hadith 175. Narrated Hafsa, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What is wrong with the people? They have finished their ihram but you have not. He said, I matted my hair and I have garlanded my hadi, so I will not finish my ihram till I have finished my Hajj. Hadith 176. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to send the hadi from Medina, and I used to twist the garlands for his hadi, and he did not keep away from any of these things which a muhrim keeps away from. Hadith 177. Narrated Aisha, I twisted the garlands for the hadis of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and then he marked and garlanded them, or I garlanded them, and then made them proceed to the Kaaba, but he remained in Medina and no permissible thing was regarded as illegal for him then. Hadith 178. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abu Bakr bin Amr bin Hazm, that Amrah bint Abdur Rahman had told him, Zayd bin Abu Sufyan wrote to Aisha that Abdullah bin Abbas had stated, whoever sends his hadi to the Kaaba, all the things which are illegal for a pilgrim, become illegal for that person till he slaughters it, that is, till the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Amrah added, Aisha said, it is not like what Ibn Abbas has said. I twisted the garlands of the hadis of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, with my own hands. Then Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, put them round their necks with his own hands, sending them with my father. Yet nothing permitted by Allah was considered illegal for Allah's apostle till he slaughtered the hadiths. Hadith 179. Narrated Aisha, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent sheep as hadi. Hadith 180. Narrated Aisha, I used to make the garlands for the hadiths of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he would garland the sheep with them, and would stay with his family as a non-muhrim. Hadith 181. Narrated Aisha, I used to twist the garlands for the sheep of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he would send them to the Kaaba, and stay as a non-muhrim. Hadith 182. Narrated Aisha, I twisted the garlands for the hadiths of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, before he assumed ihram. Hadith 183. Narrated Aisha, I twisted the garlands of the hadiths from the wool which was with me. Hadith 184. Narrated Ikrimah, Abu Hurairah said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saw a man driving a badana, sacrificial camel. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, ride on it. He replied, it is a badana. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, again said, ride on it. Abu Hurairah added, then I saw that man riding it, showing obedience to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and a shoe was hanging from its neck. Narrated Abu Hurairah, from the Prophet, as above. Hadith 185. Narrated Ali, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered me to give in charity the skin and the coverings of the boudin which I had slaughtered. Hadith 186. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar intended to perform Hajj in the year of the Hajj of al-Haruriyya during the rule of Ibn az-Zubayr. Some people said to him, it is very likely that there will be a fight among the people, and we are afraid that they might prevent you from performing Hajj. He replied, verily, in Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, there is a good example for you to follow. In this case I would do the same as he had done. I make you witness that I have intended to perform Umrah. When he reached Al-Baydah, he said, the conditions for both Hajj and Umrah are the same. I make you witness that I have intended to perform Hajj along with Umrah. After that he took a garlanded hadi to Makkah, which he bought on the way. When he reached Makkah, he performed tawaf of the Kaaba and of Safa and Marwa, and did not do more than that. He did not make legal for himself the things which were illegal for a muhrim till it was the day of Nahr, sacrifice, when he had his head shaved and slaughtered, the sacrifice, and considered sufficient his first tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, as a Ṣaḥīḥ, for his Hajj and Umrah both. He then said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to do like that. Hadith 187. Narrated Umrah bint Abdurrahman, I heard Aisha saying, 5 days before the end of Dhul-Qa'dah, we set out from Medina in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, with the intention of performing Hajj only. When we approached Makkah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered those who had no hadi with them to finish their ihram after performing tawaf of the Kaaba and Ṣaḥīḥ, between Safa and Marwa. Aisha added, on the day of Nahr, slaughtering of sacrifice, beef was brought to us. I asked, what is this? The reply was, Allah's Apostle, peace and blessings be upon him, has slaughtered sacrifices on behalf of his wives. Hadith 188. Narrated Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar, used to slaughter his sacrifice at the Munhar. Ubaydullah, a sub-narrator said, the Munhar of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 189. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar used to send his hadi from Jum'ah to Mina, in the last third of the night with the pilgrims, amongst whom there were free men and slaves, till it was taken into the Munhar, slaughtering place, of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 190. Narrated Sahal bin Bakkar, the narration of Anas abridged, saying, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, slaughtered 7 budn, camels, while standing, with his own hands. On the day of Eid al-Adha he slaughtered, sacrificed, 2 horned rams, black and white in color. Hadith 191. Narrated Ziyad bin Jubayr, I saw Ibn Umar passing by a man who had made his badanah sit to slaughter it. Ibn Umar said, slaughter it while it is standing with one leg tied up as is the tradition of Muhammad. Hadith 192. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat of Zuhr prayer at Medina, and 2 rakat of Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa and spent the night there, and when the day dawned, he mounted his mount and started saying, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and glorified be Allah. When he reached Al-Baydah, he recited Talbiyah for both Hajj and Umrah. And when he arrived at Makkah, he ordered them, his companions, to finish their ihram. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, slaughtered 7 budn, camel, with his own hands while the camels were standing. He also sacrificed 2 horned rams, black and white in color, at Medina. Hadith 193. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 4 rakat of Zuhr prayer at Medina and 2 rakat of Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa. Narrated Ayyub, a man said, Anas said, then he, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed the night there till dawn and then he offered the morning, Fajr, prayer, and mounted his mount and when it arrived at Al-Baydah, he assumed ihram for both Umrah and Hajj. Hadith 194. Narrated Ali, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent me to supervise the slaughtering of budn, hadi camels, and ordered me to distribute their meat, and then he ordered me to distribute their covering sheets and skins. Ali added, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered me to supervise the slaughtering of the budn, and not to give anything of their bodies to the butcher as wages for slaughtering. Hadith 195. Narrated Ali, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered me to supervise the slaughtering of budn, hadi camel, and to distribute their meat, skins and covering sheets in charity, and not to give anything of their bodies to the butcher as wages for slaughtering. Hadith 196. Narrated Ali, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered 100 budn as hadi and ordered me to distribute their meat, in charity, and I did so. Then he ordered me to distribute their covering sheets in charity and I did so. Then he ordered me to distribute their skins in charity and I did so. Hadith 197. Narrated Ibn Jurayj, Atā said, I heard Jabir bin Abdullāh saying, we never ate the meat of the budn for more than 3 days of Mina. Later, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave us permission by saying, eat and take meat with you. So we ate some and took some with us. I asked Atā, did Jabir say that they went on eating the meat till they reached Medina? Atā replied, no. Hadith 198. Narrated Umrah, I heard Aisha saying, we set out from Medina, along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, 5 days before the end of Dhul-Qa'dah with the intention of performing Hajj only. When we approached Makkah, Allah's Apostle ordered those who had no hadi along with them to finish the ihram after performing tawaf of the Kaaba and Safa and Marwa. Aisha added, beef was brought to us on the day of Nahr and I said, what is this? Somebody said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, has slaughtered cows on behalf of his wives. Hadith 199. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about a person who had his head shaved before slaughtering his hadi, or other similar ceremonies of Hajj. He replied, there is no harm, there is no harm. Hadith 200. Narrated Ibn Abbas, a man said to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, I performed the tawaf ul-Ifadah before the Rumi, throwing pebbles at the Jamrah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, there is no harm. The man said, I had my head shaved before slaughtering. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, there is no harm. He said, I have slaughtered the hadi before the Rumi. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, there is no harm. Hadith 201. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked by a man who said, I have done the Rumi in the evening. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, there is no harm in it. Another man asked, I had my head shaved before the slaughtering. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, there is no harm in it. Hadith 202. Narrated Abu Musa, I came upon Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, when he was at Al-Bukhārī. He asked me, have you intended to perform the Hajj? I replied in the affirmative. He asked, for what have you assumed ihram? I replied, I have assumed ihram with the same intention as that of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, you have done well. Go and perform tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa. Then I went to one of the women of Bani Qais and she took out lice from my head. Later, I assumed the ihram for Hajj. So, I used to give this verdict to the people till the caliphate of Umar. When I told him about it, he said, if we follow, the holy book, then it orders us to complete Hajj and Umrah, Hajj at-Tamattu'a, and if we follow the tradition of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did not finish his ihram till the hadi had reached its destination, had been slaughtered, that is, Hajj al-Qiran. Hadith 203. Narrated Ibn Umar, Hafsah said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What is wrong with the people? They finished their ihram after performing Umrah, but you have not finished it after your Umrah. He replied, I matted my hair and have garlanded my hadi. So, I cannot finish my ihram till I slaughter my hadi. Hadith 204. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, got his head shaved after performing his Hajj. Hadith 205. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, be merciful to those who have their head shaved. The people said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. And, invoke Allah for those who get their hair cut short. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, be merciful to those who have their head shaved. The people said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. And those who get their hair cut short. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the third time, and to those who get their hair cut short. Nafi said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had said once or twice, O Allah, be merciful to those who get their head shaved, and on the fourth time he added, and to those who have their hair cut short. Hadith 206. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, forgive those who get their heads shaved. The people asked, also those who get their hair cut short? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, forgive those who have their heads shaved. The people said, also those who get their hair cut short? The Prophet invoked Allah for those who have their heads shaved and, at the third time said, also, forgive those who get their hair cut short. Hadith 207. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and some of his companions got their heads shaved, and some others got their hair cut short. Hadith 208. Narrated Muawiyah, I cut short the hair of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, with a long blade. Hadith 209. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to Makkah, he ordered his companions to perform tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa, to finish their ihram and get their hair shaved off or cut short. Hadith 210. Narrated Nafi that Ibn Umar performed only one tawaf. He would take an afternoon nap and then return to Mina. That was on the day of Nahr, slaughtering. Hadith 211. Narrated Aisha, we performed Hajj with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and performed Tawaf al-Ifada on the day of Nahr, slaughtering. Safiyyah got her menses and the Prophet desired from her what a husband desires from his wife. I said to him, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. She is having her menses. He said, is she going to detain us? We informed him that she had performed Tawaf al-Ifada on the day of Nahr. He said, then you can depart. Hadith 212. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about the slaughtering, shaving, of the head, and the doing of Rami before or after the due times. He said, there is no harm in that. Hadith 213. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked, as regards the ceremonies of Hajj, at Mina on the day of Nahr, and he replied that there was no harm. Then a man said to him, I got my head shaved before slaughtering. He replied, slaughter, now, and there is no harm in it. Another man said, I did the Rami, of the Jimar, after midday. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, there was no harm in it. Hadith 214. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stopped, for a while near the Jimar at Mina, during his last Hajj and the people started asking him questions. A man said, ignorantly I got my head shaved before slaughtering. The Prophet replied, slaughter, now, and there is no harm in it. Another man said, unknowingly I slaughtered the Hadi before doing the Rami. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do Rami now, and there is no harm in it. So, on that day, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about anything, about the ceremonies of Hajj, done before or after its stated time, his reply was, do it, now, and there is no harm. Hadith 215. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr bin al-As, I witnessed the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when he was delivering the sermon on the day of Nahr. A man stood up and said, I thought that such and such was to be done before such and such. I got my hair shaved before slaughtering. Another said, I slaughtered the hadi before doing the rummy. So, the people asked about many similar things. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Do it, now, and there is no harm in all these cases. Whenever the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about anything on that day, he replied, Do it, now, and there is no harm in it. Hadith 216. Narrated Abdullāh bin Amr bin al-As, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stopped while on his she-camel. The sub-narrator then narrated the hadith as above. Hadith 217. Narrated Ikrimah, Ibn Abbas said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, delivered a sermon on the day of Nahr, and said, O people! Tell me, what is the day today? The people replied, It is the forbidden, sacred, day. He asked again, What town is this? They replied, It is the forbidden, sacred, town. He asked, Which month is this? They replied, It is the forbidden, sacred, month. He said, No doubt. Your blood, your properties, and your honor are sacred to one another like the sanctity of this day of yours, in this, sacred, town, Makkah, of yours, in this month of yours. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, repeated his statement again and again. After that he raised his head and said, O Allah! Haven't I conveyed your message to them? Haven't I conveyed your message to them? Ibn Abbas added, By him in whose hand my soul is, the following was his will, Prophet's will, to his followers. It is incumbent upon those who are present to convey this information to those who are absent. Beware! Don't renegade, as disbelievers, turn into infidels, after me, striking the necks, cutting the throats, of one another. Hadith 218. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, delivering a sermon at Arafat. Hadith 219. Narrated Abu Bakr, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, delivered to us a sermon on the day of Nahr. He said, Do you know what is the day today? We said, Allah and his apostle know better. He remained silent till we thought that he might give that day another name. He said, Isn't it the day of Nahr? We said, It is. He further asked, Which month is this? We said, Allah and his apostle know better. He remained silent till we thought that he might give it another name. He then said, Isn't it the month of Dhul Hijjah? We replied, Yes. It is. He further asked, What town is this? We replied, Allah and his apostle know it better. He remained silent till we thought that he might give it another name. He then said, Isn't it the forbidden, sacred, town, of Makkah? We said, Yes. It is. He said, No doubt, your blood and your properties are sacred to one another like the sanctity of this day of yours, in this month of yours, in this town of yours, till the day you meet your Lord. No doubt. Haven't I conveyed Allah's message to you? They said, Yes. He said, O Allah! Be witness. So it is incumbent upon those who are present to convey it, this information, to those who are absent, because the informed one might comprehend it, what I have said, better than the present audience, who will convey it to him. Beware! Do not renegade, as disbelievers after me by striking the necks, cutting the throats, of one another. Hadith 220. Narrated Ibn Umar, at Mina, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Do you know what is the day today? The people replied, Allah and his apostle know it better. He said, It is the forbidden, sacred, day. And do you know what town is this? They replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He said, This is the forbidden, sacred, town, Makkah. And do you know which month is this? The people replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He said, This is the forbidden, sacred, month. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, No doubt, Allah made your blood, your properties, and your honor sacred to one another like the sanctity of this day of yours in this month of yours in this town of yours. Narrated Ibn Umar, on the day of Nahr, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, stood in between the Jumrat during his Hajj which he performed, as in the previous Hadith, and said, This is the greatest day, that is, 10th of Dhul Hijjah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, started saying repeatedly, O Allah! Be witness, I have conveyed your message. He then bade the people farewell. The people said, This is Hajjat al-Wada. Hadith 221. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, permitted the people who provided the pilgrims with water to stay at Makkah during the nights of Mina. Hadith 222. Narrated Ibn Umar, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, allowed people who provided the pilgrims with water to stay at Makkah during the nights of Mina. Hadith 223. Narrated Ibn Umar, Al-Abbas asked the permission from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to stay at Makkah during the nights of Mina in order to provide water to the people, so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, allowed him. Hadith 224. Narrated Wabara, I asked Ibn Umar, when should I do the Rummi of the Jimar? He replied, when your leader does that. I asked him again the same question. He replied, we used to wait till the sun declined and then we would do the Rummi, that is, on the 11th and 12th of Dhul Hijjah. Hadith 225. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid, Abdullāh did the Rummi from the middle of the valley. So, I said, O Abu Abdur Rahman. Some people do the Rummi, of the Jumrah, from above it, that is, from the top of the valley. He said, by him except whom none has the right to be worshipped, this is the place from where the one on whom Surah al-Bukhārī was revealed, that is, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did the Rummi. Hadith 226. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid, when Abdullāh reached the big Jumrah, that is, Jumrat al-Aqaba, he kept the Kaaba on the left side and Mina on his right side, and threw 7 pebbles, at the Jumrah, and said, the one on whom Surah al-Bukhārī was revealed, that is, the Prophet, had done the Rummi similarly. Hadith 227. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid, I performed Hajj with Ibn Mas'ud, and saw him doing Rummi of the big Jumrah, Jumrat al-Aqaba, with 7 small pebbles, keeping the Kaaba on his left side and Mina on his right. He then said, this is the place where the one on whom Surah al-Bukhārī was revealed, that is, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stood. Hadith 228. Narrated Al-Amash, I heard Al-Hajjaj saying on the pulpit, the surah in which al-Bukhārī, the cow, is mentioned and the surah in which the family of Imran is mentioned and the surah in which the women, An-Nisa, is mentioned. I mentioned this to Ibrahim, and he said, Abdur Rahman bin Yazid told me, I was with Ibn Mas'ud, when he did the Rummi of the Jumrat al-Aqaba. He went down the middle of the valley, and when he came near the tree, which was near the Jumrah, he stood opposite to it and threw 7 small pebbles and said, Allahu Akbar, on throwing every pebble. Then he said, by him, except whom none has the right to be worshipped, here, at this place, stood the one on whom Surah al-Bukhārī was revealed, that is, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 229. Narrated Salim, Ibn Umar used to do Rummi of the Jumrat ud-Dunya, the Jumrah near to the Kaif Mosque, with 7 small stones and used to recite takbir on throwing every pebble. He then would go ahead till he reached the level ground where he would stand facing the Qibla for a long time to invoke Allah, while raising his hands, while invoking. Then he would do Rumi of the Jamrat ul-Wusta, middle Jamrah, and then he would go to the left towards the middle ground, where he would stand facing the Qibla. He would remain standing there for a long period to invoke Allah, while raising his hands, and would stand there for a long period. Then he would do Rumi of the Jamrat ul-Aqaba from the middle of the valley, but he would not stay by it, and then he would leave and say, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, doing like this. Hadith 230. Narrated Salim bin Abdullāh, Abdullāh bin Umar used to do Rumi of the Jamrat ud-Dunya with 7 small pebbles and used to recite takbir on throwing each stone. He, then, would proceed further till he reached the level ground, where he would stay for a long time, facing the Qibla to invoke Allah, while raising his hands. Then he would do Rumi of the Jamrat ul-Wusta similarly and would go to the left towards the level ground, where he would stand for a long time facing the Qibla to invoke Allah, while raising his hands. Then he would do Rumi of the Jamrat ul-Aqaba from the middle of the valley, but he would not stay by it. Ibn Umar used to say, I saw Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, doing like that. Hadith 231. Narrated Az-Zuhri, whenever Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stoned the Jamrah near Mina mosque, he would do Rumi of it with 7 small pebbles and say takbir on throwing each pebble. Then he would go ahead and stand facing the Qibla with his hands raised, and invoke Allah, and he used to stand for a long period. Then he would come to the second Jamrah, al-Wusta, and stone it with 7 small stones, reciting takbir on throwing each stone. Then he would stand facing the Qibla with raised hands to invoke Allah. Then he would come to the Jamrah near the Aqaba, Jamrat ul-Aqaba, and do Rumi of it with 7 small pebbles, reciting takbir on throwing each stone. He, then, would leave and not stay by it. Narrated Az-Zuhri, I heard Salim bin Abdullāh saying the same, that his father said on the authority of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. And Ibn Umar used to do the same. Hadith 232. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin al-Qasim, I heard my father, who was the best man of his age, saying, I heard Aisha saying, I perfumed Allah's apostle with my own hands before finishing his ihram, while yet he had not performed tawaf al-Ifadah. She spread her hands, while saying so. Hadith 233. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the people were ordered to perform the tawaf of the Kaaba, tawaf al-Wada, as the lastly thing, before leaving Makkah, except the menstruating women who were excused. Hadith 234. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib and the Isha prayers, and slept for a while at a place called Al-Muhassab, and then rode to the Kaaba and performed tawaf round it. Hadith 235. Narrated Aisha, Safiyyah bint Huyay, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got her menses, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was informed of that. He said, would she delay us? The people said, she has already performed tawaf al-Ifadah. He said, therefore she will not delay us. Hadith 236. Narrated Ikrimah, the people of Medina asked Ibn Abbas about a woman who got her menses after performing tawaf al-Ifadah. He said, she could depart from Makkah. They said, we will not act on your verdict and ignore the verdict of Zayd. Ibn Abbas said, when you reach Medina, inquire about it. So, when they reached Medina they asked about that. One of those whom they asked was Sulaym. She told them the narration of Safiyyah. Hadith 237. Narrated Ibn Abbas, a menstruating woman was allowed to leave Makkah if she had done tawaf al-Ifadah. Tawus, a sub-narrator, said from his father, I heard Ibn Umar saying that she would not depart. Then later I heard him saying that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had allowed them, menstruating women, to depart. Hadith 238. Narrated Aisha, we set out with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, with the intention of performing Hajj only. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Makkah and performed tawaf of the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa and did not finish the ihram, because he had the hadi with him. His companions and his wives performed tawaf of the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa, and those who had no hadi with them finished their ihram. I got the menses and performed all the ceremonies of Hajj. So, when the night of Husbah, night of departure, came, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. All your companions are returning with Hajj and Umrah except me. He asked me, didn't you perform tawaf of the Kaaba, Umrah, when you reached Makkah? I said, no. He said, go to Tanim with your brother Abdurrahman, and assume ihram for Umrah, and I will wait for you at such and such a place. So I went with Abdurrahman to Tanim and assumed ihram for Umrah. Then Safiyyah bint Huyai got menses. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Akra Hulka. You will detain us. Didn't you perform tawaf ul-Ifada on the day of Nahr, slaughtering? She said, yes, I did. He said, then there is no harm, depart. So I met the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when he was ascending the heights towards Makkah and I was descending, or vice versa. Hadith 239. Narrated Abdulaziz bin Rufai, I asked Anas bin Malik, tell me something you have observed about the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, concerning where he offered the Zuhr prayer on the day of Tarwiyah, 8th Dhul Hijjah. Anas replied, he offered it at Mina. I said, where did he offer the Asr prayer on the day of Nahr, day of departure from Mina? He replied, at Al-Abtah, and added, you should do as your leaders do. Hadith 240. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha prayers and slept for a while at a place called Al-Muhassab, and then he rode towards the Kaaba and performed tawaf, al-Wada. Hadith 241. Narrated Aisha, that is, Al-Abtah, was a place where the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to camp so that it might be easier for him to depart. Hadith 242. Narrated Ibn Abbas, staying at Al-Muhassab is not one of the ceremonies of Hajj, but Al-Muhassab is a place where Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, camped during his Hajjat al-Wada. Hadith 243. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar used to spend the night at Tuwa in between the two Thaniyahs, and then he would enter Makkah through the Thaniyah which is at the higher region of Makkah, and whenever he came to Makkah for Hajj or Umrah, he never made his she-camel kneel down except near the gate of the Masjid, sacred mosque, and then he would enter it, and go to the black stone corner and start from there circumambulating the Kaaba 7 times, hastening in the first 3 rounds, Ramal, and walking in the last 4. On finishing, he would offer 2 rakat prayer and set out to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa before returning to his dwelling place. On returning to Medina from Hajj or Umrah, he used to make his camel kneel down at Al-Batha which is at Dhul Hulayfa, the place where the Prophet used to make his camel kneel down. Hadith 244. Narrated Khalid bin al-Harith, Ubaydullah was asked about Al-Muhassab. Ubaydullah narrated, Nafi said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, Umar and Ibn Umar camped there. Nafi added, Ibn Umar used to offer the Zuhr and Asr prayers at it, that is, Al-Muhassab. I think he mentioned the Maghrib prayer also. I said, I don't doubt about Isha, that is, he used to offer it there also, and he used to sleep there for a while. He used to say, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to do the same. Hadith 245. Narrated Nafi, whenever Ibn Umar approached Makkah, he used to pass the night at Tuwa till dawn, and then he would enter Makkah. On his return, he used to pass by Tuwa and pass the night there till dawn, and he used to say that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to do the same. Hadith 246. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Dhul Majaz and Ukaz were the markets of the people during the pre-Islamic period of ignorance. When the people embraced Islam, they disliked to do bargaining there till the following holy verses were revealed: "There is no harm for you if you seek of the bounty of your Lord, during Hajj by trading, etc." Surah 2, Ayah 198. Hadith 247. Narrated Aisha, Ṣaḥīḥ got her menses on the night of Nafr, departure from Hajj, and she said, "I see that I will detain you." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Akra hulka." Did she perform the tawaf on the day of Nahr, slaughtering? Somebody replied in the affirmative. He said, "Then depart." Different narrators mentioned that, Aisha said, "We set out with Allah's apostle, from Medina, with the intention of performing Hajj only. When we reached Makkah, he ordered us to finish the ihram. When it was the night of Nafr, departure, Ṣaḥīḥ bint Huyai got her menses. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Hulka akra. I think that she will detain you, and added, Did you perform the tawaf, ul-ifada, on the day of Nahr, slaughtering? She replied, Yes. He said, Then depart. I said, O Allah's apostle, I have not done the Umrah. He replied, Perform Umrah from Tanim. My brother went with me and we came across the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the last part of the night. He said, Wait at such and such a place.